winter is coming. The skeptics are coming. And so some of the data points from this these slides, I'll put the link to the study below. There's a gigantic amount of super interesting data. And so here's one of the questions. Would consider purchasing an EV if same price as an ICE alternative? This is a gas car, internal combustion engine. Definitely or probably consider. Went from 33% in 2021 to 46% in 2024, which means that as electric vehicles get cheaper to own, lease, finance from automakers, more and more people are likely to purchase an electric vehicle. Here's another one. More exposure to EVs opens the door to higher consideration. The blue bar is people that consider EVs, and the gray bar is people that are skeptics of EVs. People who consider EVs that know someone who currently owns an EV is 72%, whereas only 17% of people who consider EVs don't know anyone who owns an EV. So what does that say? The more people know people who own an EV, the more likely they are to consider an EV. And if you're a skeptic, that applies as well. Not as much, but it definitely applies. If you're a skeptic, you go from 49% of skeptics not knowing anyone who owns an EV to 40%. As more and more people buy EVs, more and more people buy EVs. And this is what Cox is predicting in the next few years. If we look at this chart from the study, EV consideration expected to surge in second half of the decade, second wave, as skeptics become considerers. And what this chart is trying to explain here is that from 2025, about 55% of people they're predicting, right, will consider an EV new or used in the next 12 months. By 2026 to 2028, those skeptics are going to start turning into considerers, to where you go from 55% of the market considering an EV to 79%, right? So think about that for a second. We're going to go to roughly 80% of the US buying public for cars, period. 79% of them will consider an electric vehicle within 12 months by 2026 through 2028. So what does that mean? A huge majority of the population is going to want to buy an EV, right? So when the administration does something like this, of quadrupling the tariff from Chinese EVs, what they're signaling is that, hey, if China were to come in and do that, we're screwed. Because most people, a majority of the people are going to consider, a huge majority of the population will consider an electric vehicle by 2028. I'm animated on this video because this is like something we've been talking about for a really long time. There's obvious data points starting to land in front of everybody to see, and it's like, okay. I'm just putting it out there. I just love looking at this data. That's what it really comes down to. And then here's another bit of data from Cox. So nearly all shoppers could be enticed to purchase an electric vehicle sooner. And so if you're looking at people between 1 to 2 years, 98% of them could be enticed to purchase an EV earlier if the price comes down. Price is top reason to delay their EV purchase. Nearly half aren't familiar with the EV tax incentives, which is actually a very interesting one, because this also talks about education. There's a $7,500 EV tax credit in the United States that you can take advantage of as long as you qualify from an income perspective, which you can get bypass with leasing. Leasing doesn't include an income thing, so you can go on Tesla's website right now and lease a Tesla for $300 a month if your income is way above the limit for financing or buying one. But price is the main switcher for the people considering an EV at 1 to 2 years. What does that mean? As EVs get cheaper, more people will consider them quicker. Same exact thing with the 3 to 5 year guys. More likely to cite a lack of knowledge about EVs as a barrier, but 96% of them could still be enticed to consider an EV earlier if they had more information on total cost of ownership and cost of charging. Considerations highly impacted by non-financial incentives like free charging, free home charger, free maintenance plans. And that's funny, as they cite non-financial incentives, but when I read free, what does that